Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on the program today, the top 10 wide receivers the Texans could take in the 2025 NFL Draft. I think it's a foregone conclusion that the Texans will take a wide receiver in the first 4 rounds. I'm going to give you the top options that could land in H-Town. And if you're wondering, well, Jeremy, how are we doing these rankings? What is it based on? I did it on 3 criteria. 1, just the overall talent of the prospect. How good are they? 2, the scheme fit in Nick Caley's offense. How will they be used and how will they translate to the Texans offense? And then number 3, draft value. Where are you going to have to take him? If it's a guy it's in round 1 and I don't know if he's necessarily a round 1 talent, I'm going to put him down my board a little bit. Or if it's a day 2 guy and I think he's fantastic, he might go a little bit further up. So without further ado, we're going to get into the top 10 guys. But before I give you my list, go down. Who is your favorite wide receiver in this draft class and why? Go down in the comment section. Let me know. You can even give me 2 or 3 options, maybe in different rounds if you'd like. I want to see what y'all have to say, and then let me know what you think about my list at the end of today's program. Now, let's get into number 10. Jayden Higgins, wide receiver from Iowa State. I really like him as a, really huge X target. He's almost 6'5", really runs smooth routes. Not going to just burn you down the field, but a, great guy for catch radius. He has a huge target for quarterbacks. He's able to catch the ball down the field and had a ton of production in college. Let's look at his numbers over the past 4 seasons. Started out his career at Eastern Kentucky, but the past 2 years, he has put on an absolute clinic. He's been amazing for the Cyclones. Look at this past year, 87 receptions, over 1,100 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Only 3 drops over the past 2 seasons. I really like Jayden Higgins. The only problem is that he is a round 1 guy. I don't think you'll be able to get him in round 2. I really don't. So that's why he's number 10 on my list, because I do think if you want Higgins, you're going to have to take him in round 1. Now, let's go to another guy in Savion Williams from TCU. I've talked about him before. He's a day 2 guy, in my opinion. He's somebody who is a gadget-type receiver, another bigger body receiver, but you wouldn't play him as a true X. And I kind of like him as a wild card boomer bust guy to get on day 2, because I was talking with our 49ers host, Chase Sr., and in a Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay West Coast system, Savion Williams will be like a Deebo Samuel in whatever offense he gets selected to, if it's one of those sort of systems, right? He's a gadget type guy. At TCU, he had specific packages that were made for him. The only problem is he has a little problem with drops, right? This past year, 8 drops for the Horned Frogs, but he's electric with the ball in his hand. In screens and jet motions and a lot of these gadget plays, he could be an amazing option for the Texans. My only issue is, like I said, he's a big boomer bust guy. He has a lot of potential, but has a lot of problems as a prospect. Probably why he's going towards probably a round 3 or 4 selection, and number 9 on my list. Number 8, Nick Nash, a smaller school guy, and Savion Williams, I just said, is like a round 3, round 4 guy. I think Nick Nash is a round 4, round 5 guy. Maybe can sneak into round 3 if a team is desperate enough or wants to reach a little bit on his talent. Coming out of San Jose State is another bigger body receiver with another big catch radius, around 6'3", 200 pounds. Had an insane year for San Jose this past year. 104 receptions, over 1,300 yards, and 16 touchdowns for them this season. In 2021, also, he was a quarterback. So we know, guys who are former quarterbacks going to wide receiver, it kind of helps them understand offenses a little bit more on a deeper level. I like Nick Nash as a day 3 guy. If you're able to get him in round 4 or round 5, that would be an absolute steal. That's why I have him on number 8 on my list of guys who the Texans should draft, because if you're getting other positions, the Texans need offensive line help. They need maybe some help on the defensive side, adding some depth to the defensive line, maybe the linebacking room or that secondary. if you need a wide receiver that you can take later in the draft, I think Nick Nash is that guy. Let's go to the next guy, Elic Ayomanor from Stanford. And, maybe it's just how the dice fell in my list and how I decided to break it down, but another bigger guy, a true X-style receiver from Stanford. And, this past season, 63 receptions, 831 yards, 6 touchdowns. Not going to absolutely, blow you out of the water with his stats, but you have to remember he was playing for Stanford. Not an amazing offensive output. What was Stanford doing in 2024? 2023, a little bit better numbers for Ayomanor. And look, he's a day 2 guy. He's somebody who the Texans, if he falls to them on day 2, I would be really happy. And I would say, okay, he's definitely one of the top options for the Texans to select in round 2 if you're looking for a wide receiver, especially if you didn't grab one in round 1. I like Ayomanor as a day 2 selection for this Texans squad. Coming in at number 6, I have another Iowa State guy, Jaylin Noel. And look, I have him a little bit higher than Jayden Higgins, not because I think he's better, which you could argue Jaylin Noel is just as talented as Jayden Higgins. They just kind of play different roles. Like Jaylin Noel is more of the speedy slot, quick twitch guy, as Jayden Higgins is the big down the field threat. But I do think you'll be able to get Noel in round 2. Right? And the Texans already talked to him at the NFL Combine. 80 receptions this past year, over 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns for the Cyclones. I like Jaylin Noel as a day 2 guy. There is some chatter of him possibly sneaking towards the end of round 1, early round 2. If you have to trade up for Noel, I'm not with it as much, but purely based on him being the pick in round 2 for the Houston Texans, I would not mind him being the selection for the Texans at that round 2 spot. He comes in at number 6 on my top wide receiver list. Now, before I get into my top 5, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are the number 1 Texans channel here on YouTube. Texans videos every single day. More live watch parties. Interactive YouTube channel. We are the most interactive channel here on YouTube. More subs equals more videos I can make for you. Hey, just in the past year that I've been doing this channel, running this channel, we've put out our output even more. Whenever I first started, it was around 3 videos a week. Now we're doing about 5 to 6 videos a week. I want to get to where I'm making about 7, 8 videos a week with more help. But the way I get more help is with more subscribers. That shows my bosses that Texans fans want more content. Plus, it's 100% free in this economy. Call it. In this economy, how many things are you getting for free? You're getting Texans Today for free if you go down and hit that sub button to the number 1 Texans channel here on YouTube. Now, let's get into my top 5. Number 5, and I know a lot of people probably have him as their number 1 guy, Matthew Golden, receiver from the University of Texas. Look, he is a skilled guy, and Nick Caserio had a front row seat to his pro day at the University of Texas. And he showed out. He looked really good. Really good combine as well. Was one of the fastest receivers in this class. And if you're looking for somebody, a little hometown connection, played at the University of Houston in 2022 and 2023. And 2024 burst onto the scene. 9 touchdowns this year for the Longhorns. And I think what's really helping Matthew Golden is that when the lights were the brightest, that's when he played the best. During the college football playoff, Matthew Golden was the go-to guy for that Texas offense. If he's there at pick 25, I would love him with that selection. I have him 5 on my list because I'm worried that if he's sliding in round 1, the Texans will have to trade up for a guy like Matthew Golden. And even though he's extremely talented, he does have a couple of setbacks. Like, look at the production in college. It's not all necessarily there past the 2024 season. Even though he is a young, talented receiver, trading up for him has me a little bit worried. That's why he comes in at number 4 on my list. Or number 5 on my list. Let's go to number 4, Jack Bech from TCU. I think his fit in this Nick Caley offense would be impeccable. A bigger slot receiver where he's a great blocker. He's a sure-handed guy. And the thing with Bech is, the ceiling might not be as high. And what do you mean by that, Jeremy? I mean, how good can Jack Bech be? Do I think he can be an all-pro? Not necessarily. I don't think he's going to be a wide receiver 1 in the future for this team. But as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, his floor is really high. I think he comes in immediately and helps you out in the run game, helps you out as another safety blanket for CJ Stroud over the middle or underneath. I think Jack Bech could really help out this offense a ton. And if you're able to get him in round 2, maybe he sneaks into round 3. I would love that pick for the Houston Texans if they're able to get Jack Bech in round 3. He comes in at number 4, purely based on you'll get him in day 2, and I think his fit in this Nick Caley offense will be great. Number 3, a popular name amongst Texans Twitter, popular name amongst Chris Sims, who has him as his number 2 wide receiver in this draft class. Listen, I don't have Kyle Williams as my number 2 guy in this draft class. I think that's a little bit crazy of Sims to do, but he's very talented. And on day 2, in round 2 or round 3, sign me up for Kyle Williams. And it's funny. You can see guys in the pre-draft process when they, favor teams or kind of show their cards of who they want to play for. Kyle Williams was asked at the Senior Bowl, who do you model your game after? You want to know the first 2 names that he said? Tank Dell and Stefon Diggs. Where did they play this past year? For your Houston Texans. And look at the 2023-2024 numbers. He's had 2 back-to-back amazing seasons. And this past year for Washington State, 14 touchdowns, averaging 17 yards a catch. Talk about a field stretcher, somebody who can take the top off of the defense. I love Kyle Williams. I mean, if you can get him in round 3, that might be the steal of the draft. I think you'll have to get him in round 2. But I really do like the fit for Kyle Williams in this offense. Let's go to number 2, Tre Harris. And I think he's being a little bit slept on in this draft process because a lot of people are kind of jumping Kyle Williams over him. Some of these other receivers saying, oh yeah, they're much better than Tre Harris. I don't know. He's a bigger bodied receiver who gives you a ton in the yards after the catch. That yak ability, he is fantastic. And really, the past 3 seasons, he has put it on. At Louisiana Tech in 2022, he was fantastic. And then the past 2 years at Ole Miss, he has put on. I really think Tre Harris, if he's there in round 2, would be an amazing selection for the Texans. You have another guy on the outside so that you can, play a little bit with Christian Kirk and Nico Collins and intertwine those 2 guys in the slot. We know Nico Collins likes to work out of the slot a little bit. With Tre Harris, you have a true X-style receiver, an outside guy who can, like I said, that yak ability, can catch the ball and then get some yards after the catch. 17.2 yards per catch. 2023, 18.2 yards per catch. He is a guy who is a downfield threat, and I think a round 2 guy who a lot of teams will regret not taking earlier on. Now, I have my number 1 guy coming up in just a moment. You might be able to guess who it is based on who I've talked about already, but these are guys who just missed the cut, and not because they're not good, but just one reason or another, like Luther Burden, Tetairoa McMillan. I think they're both round 1 guys. Definitely Tetairoa McMillan. I don't think he gets anywhere close to the Texans at pick 25. I don't care if he watches film or not. Luther Burden is a guy who round 1, maybe early round 2. I don't love the value there with Luther Burden. Isaiah Bond, a speedster. Tez Johnson, you'd think would be a speedster, but didn't perform well at the combine. And for one reason or another, these guys just missed the cut for me, but I think they're really good options for the Texans as well in this draft. But the number 1 option, shouldn't be surprised. It's Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. He has shades of Jackson Smith and Jigba, somebody who is a savvy route runner, who has a fluid running style. I think he's somebody who can really have his route tree expand in the NFL, and that connection he has with CJ Stroud already is not something that you can sleep on. Look at his numbers in college. What was his best season for the Buckeyes? 2022, whenever he was paired with CJ Stroud. Had the most yards per catch, tied for the most touchdowns. I mean, Emeka Egbuka put on for Ohio State in 2022, and the value at 25, I think, would be perfect. I think he's just good enough for a round 1 talent, but could still slide down to pick 25 for you. I think it would be a home run pick if he's there at 25. My only worry is there's a couple wide receiver needy teams that are there at the end of the teens, early 20s in this draft that could steal him away from you. But if he's on the board at 25, you take him unless there's an offensive lineman that you absolutely love. Now, those were my top 10 guys for the Texans to draft in this year's draft class at the wide receiver spot. If you disagree, if you agree, hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what you think of my list. And as always, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 30,000 subscribers before the start of the NFL draft. We're a little over 1,000 away, but I believe in us. I know we can get there. If we do, I'll be live for round 1 for the Houston Texans selection in this year's draft.